Let's move on, though, into our next topic, Mark. And what we're looking at now for the rest of the podcast is draft, and then some more draft. And we are looking first at the Indianapolis Colts, as an article on NFL.com, as I was kind of perusing today, had some bullet points of some notes. And some of our topics are actually coming from this one article. And at number 3, this is something that I've been thinking that the Colts should do, hashtag team trade down. Number 3 says Colts are looking to trade down again. So here's the question that I want to ask you. If the Colts trade down from number 6, who is going to be the team to trade up to number 6?
The obvious answers are going to be teams like Buffalo or the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. I mean, those are the two obvious ones because these are people who would need to get back up. But I actually wonder if that is going to be unrealistic. Not for the teams to have the ability to get up, because the Bills could definitely do it and the Cardinals could figure something out. But if we go with the kind of common expectation right now, and that's going to be quarterback, somebody, maybe quarterback.
Yeah.
Let's say that only 3 quarterbacks go because John Elway's, he goes with, who knows, Quentin Nelson. Who cares?
Like how both of us had non-quarterback to the Broncos.
So there's a quarterback available, but it's the 4th best quarterback. Mm-hmm. There's also this thing going on, and something of it might have come from this same article. I don't know, something I was reading today, where a few different NFL executives and personnel people were saying that they think that if anybody is likely to fall quarterback-wise, it's Josh Rosen.
Yep.
Josh Rosen's the guy that's going to fall.
That's in the same article as well.
Yeah.
Josh is going to be the one that falls.
Which, if that happens, I think fantastic for the Bills. Trade up. Mm-hmm. But if maybe they don't like Josh Rosen, or maybe he doesn't fall and it's Baker Mayfield or something like that, but they don't like Baker, who knows what it's going to be. They don't like the guy, whatever it might be. I think it's going to be a little less likely for one of these teams to trade up. I think it might be more likely for, let's say, the Chicago Bears to make a trade.
Damn it, you took my team.
Right.
I was like, you know what? Chicago, he's not going to say Chicago.
Pace does it.
He does it, but here's the thing that I was going to look at.
Uh-huh.
You know why I was saying that? Not for a quarterback, for Denzel Ward. Because who also needs a cornerback?
The Bucs.
The Buccaneers. So I could see the Bears
Here's the thing.
Trading to 6 to try to get Ward.
That Chicago needs, the Buccaneers need as well.
True.
So they can easily kind of screw. Yeah, right. They can easily kind of screw up Ryan Pace's draft plans. And it really depends, because it doesn't matter, with the quarterbacks and things like that. But let's say that on the Chicago Bears board, it simply goes, we have zero interest in Saquon Barkley. We want Quentin Nelson. We want Denzel Ward or Bradley Chubb. Mm-hmm. Those are our guys who are our top. But those guys can all pretty much go.
Bradley Chubb, I'm just seeing here, Von Miller has just said that Bradley Chubb's a combination of Von Miller, which is himself, and Khalil Mack.
Yeah. I can see it. Now, if that type of thing happens where the Chicago Bears might feel like we have to get above the Buccaneers, there might be only one person left. Maybe it is Denzel Ward or it's a Minkah Fitzpatrick. And they're like, well, we really think the Bucs are going to take him, so we have to get above them. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the Bucs. It doesn't necessarily have to be the Chicago Bears. I think a few of those teams past that kind of what we talk about, the 4 or 5 through 8 range, whether it's a Raiders that really, really fall in love with somebody, or the Dolphins that really want somebody, not a quarterback, and they want to kind of get above some of these guys. But I honestly kind of feel that the most likely one, kind of Chicago.
I'm just like last week when I said the Dolphins. You were like, "Oh, you took it for." Yeah. It wasn't last week. It was like 2 weeks ago when we talked Josh Rosen. You did the same thing to me. I'm like, "Oh no, he's gonna go quarterback wise." Oh, we mentioned Josh Rosen, but no, the Bears for me could be the one. And for the Colts, here's the thing I just want to say about the Colts with why I am for team trade down, because I don't know if I've ever on a podcast explained that, where the big thing for me when they were at 3 was Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb. Oh, they could go Quentin Nelson. No, get out of here. Bradley Chubb. Then they moved back to 6. Guess who was still in play? Bradley Chubb. They moved back to 8. We'll just say that because we both said the Bears. Guess who could still be in play at 8? Bradley Chubb. It could be.
I don't know about that.
Could be.
I would be incredibly surprised.
It would all be then depending on who the Bucs would then take with Bradley Chubb or Minkah Fitzpatrick. The bigger point of why I'm team trade down is, let's say the Colts don't get Bradley Chubb because they traded back. I don't know about you. Bradley Chubb is really good. He's the number 1 defensive end in this draft, but I really like Marcus Davenport.
Yeah,
I'd be happy with Marcus Davenport. So it's like whether they trade with the Bears, whether they trade with a Dolphins who need a quarterback, whether they trade with a Bills who need a quarterback, any of those 3 teams the Colts can trade with. And yeah, we might not get Bradley Chubb, but we can still get Marcus Davenport and accumulate those picks in later rounds.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have options. I mean, Tremaine Edmonds is going to be an option as well. I don't know that. I honestly don't know that Bradley Chubb is going to be there for the Colts right now at 6. Because I really think the Broncos, there's a good chance they take him. The Giants, there's a slim chance that they take him. The Browns have a slightly larger chance, but still it's kind of small. But the Broncos, for me, I mean, we both said Quentin Nelson in our latest mock draft, but I really think that Bradley Chubb could be a great option for them to just say, you know what? We're going to go ahead and bring back this great defense, the thing that won us a Super Bowl not too long ago. We have a quarterback who's, he's honestly probably going to play at the level that Peyton Manning played, well, better at the level than Peyton Manning played when he won that Super Bowl. We have enough that if we had that really good defense, we can do exactly what Minnesota just did, exactly what the Jacksonville Jaguars tried to do. We can just do that. Well, I shouldn't say they tried to do because they got to the same level that the Minnesota Vikings did, but still.
Which I was listening to Doug Gottlieb today on the Herd, and what he said, and I want to hear what you think about this, is they were talking about the NBA, but he compared it to Peyton Manning, where he said, like, Peyton Manning was never like, oh my God, he has a great arm and he's like an amazing arm talent. It was, no, he's got a pretty good arm, but he did enough well to win games and win Super Bowls, to where he's one of the greatest quarterbacks that we've seen, but it's not like, oh my God, Peyton Manning's arm, look at those deep balls. He's like, look at those amazing tight spirals he's throwing for 70 yards.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I really think that for anybody, the thing that we talk about with Peyton Manning is the field general. He's the guy who goes out there, picks apart your defense,
changes the play 5 times, and then finds what'll work.
He doesn't necessarily need to have that deep ball because he's going to figure out, all right, well, I haven't even said anything yet, but that's where the hole in this defense is going to be.
Yeah.
He did that. That's what he really was a part of. Bradley Chubb easily could go to the Colts at 6. There's no reason why he can't, but I don't know. I wouldn't count out the Broncos.
The thing I didn't ask you, are you team trade down? Are you in favor of team trade down, or are you a favor of Colts, whether Bradley Chubb is there or not, make your pick because you can probably get Chubb to help your defense, or you could get Quentin Nelson to help Andrew Luck?
I wouldn't say that I am fully on team trade down, but when I see him on TV, I kind of root a little bit, is what I would say. I totally am for the Colts trading down because Andrew Luck's not going to be here day one anyways, so this year is going to once again be a little bit of a wash. You got a little bit of time before you're back in the swing of things. So sure, get as much as you can, but I'm not going to be upset if you go and say, well, we're going to get the best guard in the draft, Quentin Nelson, or we're going to get the best defensive end in the draft, Bradley Chubb. I mean, they're sitting at this spot where they very realistically, 10 years down the line, could have drafted the best player in this draft. Because 2 of the most talented players are going to be there because everyone's obsessed with quarterbacks.
Or God forbid, and everyone's going to get mad I say this, God forbid for some reason Saquon falls to 6. For some reason, the Browns go defense, and
it's not.
And John Elway goes,
unrealistic.
and like John Elway goes, yeah, we got rid of C.J. Anderson, but I don't need to replace him with Saquon.
Let's say that the Browns take Bradley Chubb, and let's say the Broncos still take Quentin Nelson because they say, what's a running back going to do if we don't have a line?
Then Saquon could be at the Colts.
Yeah, it's not unrealistic.
Which at that point,
it'd be surprising, but it's not
at
unrealistic.
that point, I am jumping off the team trade down wagon. I'm going to take Saquon.
Yeah.
I'm jumping on the pick Saquon boat because one's a train, one's a boat. The draft Saquon boat,
naturally,
if that's the case. But right now I'm on team trade down, mainly because for me, it's because of who I have them mocked. I have Bradley Chubb mocked there. So if you can get, and that's the thing, what are they going to get for this? Because you think about it, they moved back 3 picks already, and what they got from the Jets were 2 second rounds this year and a second round next year on top of that 6th pick that they hold right now.
This next part is going to be partly inspired by something that happened in our full MVP Most Valuable Podcast
you
draft.
Can check out on
our mock
YouTube.
Draft. Yeah, so check that out on YouTube, definitely. But this is partially inspired by that. Do the Patriots, because it's been talked about the Patriots for once
trade
trading
up for Josh Rosen.
Could they trade up to get Josh Rosen, number 6 overall? And I want to throw this out there just for the fun of it. Might that trade involve Gronk?
No.
Because just the other day, they were saying Gronk most likely getting traded. Now, the people are questioning the validity of the person who said it, but he claims he has a podcast. It's no one that I really knew, but he is a verified person.
And here's the general rule of thumb with me: unless it's Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport, I don't believe it. Unless it's Rap Sheet or Shefty, I don't believe it.
There's a few of them where you'll get, you're specific. This person knows the Eagles. This person knows the Raiders. Things like that.
It's like basketball. If it's not a Woj bomb, I'm not believing it unless I see Woj tweet about it.
I just think it would be kind of fun to see something crazy like that happen. But yeah, I am not a huge believer in the Patriots being able to trade up this far. I feel like if they were to trade up for Josh Rosen, it would be if they kind of see him falling a little bit. But unfortunately, the Dolphins and Bills are sitting there at 11 and 12, and they might jump on him.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, like, the teams that I see trading up, the Patriots, I don't really see it, only because what would that price be to move up from 23 would be that first pick for the Patriots all the way to number 6.
For sure, it has to be both your first rounds this year, not to mention probably a first round next year.
Which, if I'm a Colts fan, great. Give me that, because at that point, if I'm looking off of my mock draft with some of the needs that you have, you could definitely take a wide receiver with one of those. You could probably take a DJ Moore at 23. He'd be available for that. But otherwise, it's like linebacker, all right, it depends on if a Leighton Vander Esch falls or if a Howard or Harold Landry falls. Does a Cortland Sutton fall? And you have him going all the way down into that. Does a Calvin Ridley fall that far? There's definitely players there. For me, I wonder, though, the real option is what team is going to swap with them and give them seconds and thirds and give them later round picks. Because, like, you look at the Colts now, because of what they were able to do, the way I kind of map it out is, if with no trades, obviously, all right, we're going to go Bradley Chubb with our pick at 6, but then in the second, I can go ahead and get my possible running back, my wide receiver to help out T.Y. Hilton. Maybe a cornerback will be there because that pool is really deep. Maybe like if an Isaiah Wynn falls, who Kyle really likes from the Outcasts, I could grab one of those because they have 2 early and then they have 1 in the middle right there in the second round.
Yeah, exactly. I would personally would love to see the Colts go for the cornerback position in that one, because there is some of those prime guys that will be first level talent, first round talent, but slipped out. Not
to spoil anything with the mock draft we did, but one of the guys I have them taking in the second, you really like because you drafted him, Mike Hughes.
I love Mike Hughes. Yeah, Mike Hughes is one of my favorite cornerbacks in the draft. I definitely, and we had the discussion, and we're going to reference it again, the Most Valuable Podcast mock draft that you can check out. We had that discussion of, who people might have above him, but he's one of my top guys for sure.
Now, I want to ask you this, because we kind of touched it, but let's go into detail with it. If you had to give odds of the 3 quarterback teams, who trades up with the Colts if you had to pick between Dolphins, Bills, and Cardinals. What are your percentages on each?
Well, I really think it would be the Bills that would be my go-to team to do it because they're the ones that have the most capital to do it.
True.
They have two first-round picks. They can do, they honestly, with 12 and 22, it probably isn't going to take that much more for them to get up to 6. So, my piece of the pie here, I guess, I'm going to give a full whopping 80% of it to the Bills, and I'm going to split the 10 for the Cardinals and I guess anybody else who might want somebody.
For me, I would say obviously the Bills are the team. That would be, for me, it would be, I'm going to go 75% Bills. Then I'm going to go with 5% Dolphins. The rest of it, which I think would be 20, if I'm doing my math correctly, 75, 580. Yeah, 20 for the Cardinals. Because the Dolphins, to me, I don't, quarterback's not a huge need for me.
Yeah.
I don't want to give up picks.
To me, the Dolphins are not a trade up and get a quarterback. They are Josh Rosen fell to us. We'll draft him. Or Baker Mayfield or whoever.
Because even looking at the Dolphins, they pretty much have all their picks except no 5th, 2 4ths, and 2 7ths. So it's like they don't have that same kind of capital that the Jets had to do it. But the Bills, they have 2 firsts to work with. And the thing that with the Bills that would be, because I was trying to do this a little bit playing GM, do they have to give up both firsts? Or could they say, you know what, we'll do a similar deal that the which deal would you do if you were the Bills? Would you give up both of your firsts, the 12 and the 22nd? Or would you do a deal that is closer to what the Jets did, where it's like, all right, we'll give you the 12th overall and we'll swap the firsts, but then I will give you both of my second rounds.
My personal opinion when it comes to trading
and
draft
maybe
picks
a future pick too
is I want to avoid doing future picks as much as possible. I don't want to mess up next year's draft. Because here's the thing. When you aren't drafting players in a draft, you're losing chunks of your team. You're losing that young talent, so your team gets old.
Like how the Texans could have had the 4th overall pick.
Yeah, for sure. Which would be incredibly helpful. Of course, I don't really blame the Texans because it looks like their quarterback is really good. But if you're one of these teams where you miss out, because I'm wearing a Chicago Bears hat, I have to put it on I had to put it on myself and say when the Bears missed out on multiple years of first-round picks because of Jay Cutler, that really hurt the team. That really hurt the team because there was quality talent that just was missing because they didn't have a chance to go for it.
And you're not getting younger, you're just getting older.
Exactly. And then one day that kind of goes against you.
What if we're taking futures out and it's just the 12th, and then, because they do have 2 seconds, they have the 53rd and the 56th.
Well, yeah, of course I'd rather give up my seconds than a first if I can. If I can give up 2 seconds instead of a first, yeah, for sure.
Now, I'm almost on the other side of it to where I would.
You want to make more picks even if they're lower rounds?
And the reason why, and maybe this is because, the thing that I love is, go check it out, by the way, on mostvaluablepodcast.com. I love that I went through the full 7-round mock draft for the first time because it gives you a different perspective of the draft and it gives you a different perspective of how deep things are. And the one thing with the Bills is, obviously, if you're trading up for your quarterback, this doesn't really affect it. But the thing that might make the Bills want to trade up with the Colts is the news that we're going to talk about later to end the podcast about the Chargers, but I'll mention it here a little bit. The rumor is that the Chargers are targeting a quarterback in the 2nd round and that quarterback is Mason Rudolph. If I'm the Bills, I'm going, oh, shit, I got to take a quarterback then in the 1st.
Yeah.
Because the Chargers are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks ahead of me in the 2nd. So either I have to move ahead of them in the 2nd, which is doable. I have 2 seconds. So I could maybe make a trade with the Cardinals, give them my 2 seconds, trade for that 2nd. Or
assuming that the Chargers aren't trying to trade up as well.
Exactly. Or I can say, screw it. Josh Rosen's of it. I'm just throwing out Josh Rosen because we mentioned people are saying he's going to slide. Screw it. I can just trade up for Josh Rosen here, give up my 12th and then either the first or the second, whichever way the Bills are planning on going.
I mean, in my eyes, you obviously would rather have Josh Rosen than Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
Is it going to be worth it? Would you rather get a wide receiver or something like that in the first round? Honestly, they could be the first ones to take a wide receiver if they really want to get a weapon for him.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of options and stuff like that. They might be the first team to take a tackle. There's quite a bit of options. Although I guess Richie Incognito unretired himself, so who knows what the hell's going on there. But right now they might decide we want more. Mm-hmm. But if it becomes I lose a pick or two, but I get Josh Rosen as opposed to Mason Rudolph, I'll take Josh Rosen.
Because it's funny because, basically the top 6 quarterbacks on my board have all visited with the Bills. Allen, Darnold, Jackson, Mayfield, Rosen, Rudolph, all of them have visited with the Buffalo Bills.
Bills are saying we're going to get one of these guys, right?
Yeah, we're going to get one of them. The thing is, it'll probably have to be either unless they trade up, Lamar Jackson at 12 or Mason Rudolph in the second or late first, depending on when they want to pull that trigger. Yeah. Any other team that you see being this team could trade up, whether it's for a quarterback, whether it's for anything.
Yeah, really, I don't think so. Unless unless John Gruden's in love with somebody that he really wants to get, or Lynch is in love with somebody that he wants to get, really, I think if it's not one of these quarterback teams, it's got to be Chicago. They're the team that trades up. It's really that simple.
The only one that I'm thinking that they didn't trade up in the Kevin White draft, right?
No, I think they sat there and they just took him.
But that was only because that was Ryan Pace's first year.
It was his first year.
So he wasn't being.
It worked out for him. They
it.
wanted the guy, and he fell to him.
But how is that panned out? We're not going to get into that. But,
hey, maybe this year,
But the Raiders are interesting though because not really getting into it, but they need they could be a team that's sitting there going, "Hey, we really need a cornerback." The Bucks and the Bears both need a cornerback. Hey, I like this Denzel Ward kid. Yeah, let's go and take Denzel. If it's non-quarterback, Denzel Ward's the trade target then for 6.
Yeah, and it depends on which one you guys. Their guys like. If they are Denzel Ward, he's good, but man, that Josh Jackson kid. Because he's going to be there.
Well, and that's also if it falls back, but then it decides with the Raiders where it's all right, if we stay at 10.
No, that's what I'm saying for the Raiders. Josh Jackson will be there if they like him better.
But if you don't get Denzel at 6, then it's the whole debate of do we go Roquan Smith here, Roquan or Edmonds, depending on who the Niners take, or do we go corner, and which one of these positions could we get later? That's the whole mind thought here. Any final thoughts before we move on into the Eagles and their draft?
No, just basically that for all the talk about the Colts trading, I also want to say don't be surprised to people, Colts fans especially, don't be surprised if they don't. Because they're going to have some really great options at number 6.
They could just sit there, take a Bradley Chubb, take a Quentin Nelson, take a Saquon Barkley, take whoever the hell Denzel Ward, whoever could be there at 6 for them. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know, what team are you on? Do you want the Colts just to stay there, make their pick? Are you a part of me right now? # team trade down. Let me know what you guys think. Well, let us know what you guys think down below in that comment section.